Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. Today we are going to discuss about review journal. But firstly, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Adelina Syakinawaty Dongoran and I'm from Indonesia. So, in this opportunity, I would like to present of my presentation. Then, the purpose of my presentation is so that the audience can understand about our material discussed on today's topic. Alright, I would like to review from this journal. 1. The title of this journal is Vocabulary Self-Collection Strategy. Is it effective to improve vocabulary mastery achievement on senior high school students? 2. The author of this journal is Rizal Arisman. And third, the journal was published on February 2022. Alright, I would like to review an abstract from this journal. 1. The objective of this research was to find out whether there was a significant differences in vocabulary mastery between students who are taught using vocabulary self-collection strategy and those who are taught using a conventional method. 2. This research used a quantitative approach with the experimental method quasi-experimental design. There were 60 students involved as a sample of this research selected using a pervasive cluster sampling technique. The instrument used was a test including present and post-test. 3. It means there was a significant differences in vocabulary mastery between students who were taught using vocabulary self-collection strategy and who were taught using the conventional method. Furthermore, based on results of the engine test, it was found the vocabulary self-collection strategy was more effective than the conventional method. Alright, I would like to explain about introduction. Mastering vocabulary is important in getting known any language. This is due to the fact vocabulary is the built into all elements of the language. To be specific, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. While not having sufficient vocabulary, it must be not possible to gather abilities in any language skill. Thinking about the significance of mastering vocabulary, it ought to learn using the suitable in the strategy that students' vocabulary mastery can be stepped forward, mainly at the senior school level Bau-Bau, Southeast Sulawesi. Learning methods for vocabulary are a subset of vocal language learning strategies that have received a great deal of attention since late 1970. The language of reading, listening, speaking, writing have two distinct forms of vocabulary. This vocabulary is respective, productive, passive, active. Respective or passive vocabulary refers to words identified and understood by local and overseas speakers, which might be hardly ever used anyway. Productive or active vocabulary is effectively spoken or written. Examine sure elements of making sure accurate gaining knowledge of vocabulary. First, repeated experience which imply that pupils have to come across new words, the numerous condition over time. 2. Significant content that are words intelligent in the vocabulary mastery have to associate it as plainly as possible to the life or experience of the pupils. Thinking about the importance of vocabulary, then it needs to gain knowledge of which the ideal method for learners to collect new vocabulary through the mastering within the classroom. The issue seems at the vocabulary of the pupil of Senior High School for Bau-Bau, South Sulawesi. For the reason many students lose interest and become bored in studying vocabulary. Researchers use the Sub-Vocabulary Collection or VSS strategy to educate vocabulary, enhance pupil vocabulary fluency. The VSS goal is to provide a long-term effective toward pupils to acquire new words by raising their interest in aggregating new topic words into their educational vocabulary over time. It could be concluded that using VSS can improve student vocabulary mastery through making studying more fun, bring enthusiasm for students at some point of the studying process, and the motivation the student to accumulate new words. This research aims to find whether the application of VSS is better to improve the student vocabulary mastery achievement than the conventional method at Senior High School for Bau-Bau. Alright, I will explain about method. A quantitative approach of quasi-experimental design was used for this research. This intended that the study used groups of students, wherein one group changed into deal with as control group and some other group turned into handle as an experimental group. The students concurred in this study were 11 grade students from Senior High School Negeri 4 Bau-Bau with a total number were 184 students. To collect the data, this research needed an instrument. The instrument used was a vocabulary test. It was like too descriptive of productive ability of a language overall. The data accumulated throughout the test is analyzed using descriptive statistics to decide student vocabulary fluency earlier than the after treatment and inferential statistics to determine if there was a huge distinction in vocabulary fluency among the students. Alright, I will explain about finding and discussion. This research is conducted on grade 11 students at Senior High School Negeri 4 Bau-Bau. It takes 2 classes as the samples. Each class consists of 30 students, so the total number of samples is 60 students. Since this research used a test as the research instrument, the researcher administers the process first, then does the treatment, and finally administer the post-test. The outcomes which have been observed in the result describe the pre- and post-test result in each in the experimental class and the control class. The experimental class is the taught using a vocabulary self-collection approach, whilst a control class the taught using the conventional approach. Even though this research is just focused on the student vocabulary mastery achievement to VSS, in which purpose of VSS is to enable to long-term acquisition of vocabulary. The results support of the statement from Tompkins that VSS is the means of intrinsically motivating learners to build academic and specialized vocabulary. Alright, I will explain about conclusion. Preliminary, based on the end result of the data analysis as provided formally within the descriptive analysis, supported through the hypnosis test and the effectiveness test, this research concluded that there are significant differences in the achievement of vocabulary proficiency among students and those that are taught using self-taught vocabulary. The result of the efficiency test conclude that the vocabulary self-collection approach is greater effective than the conventional approach. Observing the result of each group, this research suggests to use the vocabulary self-collection strategy in teaching vocabulary, since it is better to improve student vocabulary mastery achievement than the conventional method. Alright, I think that's all for me. Thank you for attention. Thank you very much. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.